can't go a day without listening to music, and music has been a part of my life. It's been your upbringing, and it makes you who you are, especially as a teenager, because you get right into it. So for me, if I go, you meet some people as well who aren't really bothered about music.
Yeah.
How don't you? I mean,
I don't normally have any
from
crack with
somebody
those people, to be honest with you.
But it must be like, somebody like yourself who's, you're kind of around bands all the time. You're in bands. You've been playing music since I don't know when. So that's what I want to try and, chat to you about. Just talk to you about the music scene and what's happening at the minute in Newcastle as well.
Yeah, well, it's funny what you said about people not listening to, like, some people just not liking music.
Yeah.
Because since I was a kid, it was always like, it just struck me, and it was like very, very like compelling from like a young age. I just like loved it. It was that's why, like, one of the things I always say to people is if you don't really know what you want to do with your life or whatever, then you've kind of got to like experience things, and you've kind of got to try new things, because I think people who know what they want to do are very, very lucky. Whereas, like, I do feel a bit lucky knowing that I want to be involved in music, because since a young age I just liked it.
Was the music around the house? Was your parents into music? Did they have instruments they played? Because I heard somebody said you should just leave a guitar around the house, and if the child picks it up, then they'll get into music. And that was a fascinating thing to think that just if you leave an instrument, they'll pick it up and they'll play it if they
I imagine that probably is the case. I think what's interesting about like my experience was my household wasn't musical at all. Right. It was like a very like working class kind of like, council estate sort of like upbringing.
Okay.
The hobbies were going to the pub in my like household growing up. My first experiences of music was and what I remember fondly was my mum hoovering and listening to Fleetwood Mac, Celine Dion,
really?
Tony Braxton.
Yeah.
And now that I'm the age I am, like mid to late 20s, I realise that a lot of the music that I really, really like is quite dramatic, emotional stuff. And I think, and when I look back to what struck my ear when I was a kid, when I was just like in the sitting room playing with toys or coming in and out from playing football, whatever, was hearing like Tony Braxton and Celine Dion and these dramatic like ballady sort of songs.
Yeah.
So I think from a young age that caught my ear.
Yeah. I think you can't. A good song's a good song, and it doesn't matter who it's from, because even now, like younger artists are doing cover versions, and you're like, it's a great song that. Yeah, and then you look into who's wrote that song, and then it is something from like 20 years ago. Because that's the thing, a good song is a good song. And, like Tony Braxton, Celine Dion, and, even Whitney Houston, it's been written by
as well,
a team of people as well, so it's not just her. And she hasn't orchestrated the music either, so it's talented people and writers of music. That's who's created it. So that's probably why you like it, because it's so good. It's like the top level of anything, isn't it?
It was like the top level of music that I was exposed to like early on. Like my girlfriend, her dad listened to like really cool stuff growing up, so she was exposed to like Joy Division and all these sort of bands growing up, which was like different to what I was exposed to. But as I've like gone through this journey of like listening to music and stuff like that, I've gotten into all that stuff over time. But like I said, my household was working class. Like my mum, she didn't come from a musical background or anything. That's just what caught her ear as well.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, that's what I was exposed to early on. So I really, really still like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I seem to seek out songs that are kind of like that. But a good song is a good song, regardless of its style or its genre. Like I've never really been into like genres. I kind of just like songs. I kind of think that every good song in the world has something in common with each other, and I can't really put my finger on what that is. I just kind of think that they have really definitive melodies. They have great lyrics. It could be they don't have generic lyrics. I can't really put my finger on what the actual things are that have all these great songs in common, but I definitely see it when I hear whether a song is from, say, an underground rock band who breaks out and becomes like huge. It becomes a huge band. It's normally because they have that great song.
Yeah.
And then I also hear, and that you can always kind of draw a comparison between like a song that comes from an underground rock band to something like Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
An example is something like when My Chemical Romance became like a famous band rather than like a popular underground band. It was probably like that time when they released Welcome to the Black Parade, and it was this like massive score. It kind of reminded people of like an emo Queen. The similarities in that to songs that were famous before it, such as anything from a Whitney Houston to a Queen, like songs like that. So yeah, I kind of love a great song, but you are right. The people who are writing those songs are people who were the best in the business.
Well, yeah,
at the time.
I mean,
but it is great when you see someone who isn't really that schooled or that who isn't taught, who happens just to hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
that's like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, are there many around now that are kind of just superstars with a natural ability? Because I mean, everyone goes back and mentions Amy Winehouse, and she was just sort of, off the bat, she was great.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's got good production behind her and people to tell her or just guide her in the right way and stuff like that. But I suppose there's lots of different people involved in making a good song and making a good album as well. Because I mean, how important is the producer on a song, even on an album? Because that can make the sound. There's certain sounds. Like the Supremes, and there's a certain sound there. Let's not get too bogged down on him, but because he's a very touchy subject. But yeah, it's just there's a certain sound, but that comes from the producer, not from the people who are actually doing it, not from the artist.
I think what that is it's a case of I think the art does come from the artist. I think what a producer's role is to basically, for some people it's not a slog. Like if you were recording, say, like there's an artist now called like Celeste who's like doing really, really well, and I just kind of see her as being like the next Adele or the next superstar. I just think the songs are great. I think the vocals are amazing. I think if you were recording someone like her, it would probably be quite easy. I don't know that for fact. I just imagine that it would be easy, and it would be more of a case of like, oh, let's just do 3 takes of the vocal, and like, let's just like see how amazing you can get it. But I imagine when she just sings her song, she's got a song called Strange. I imagine that off the bat, it surpasses a threshold. So then the producer's job is a little bit different. The producer's job then is more about being creative in how they capture the sounds and getting the best out of the musicians and using certain equipment that they may not have used in like the demo process or whatever, and experimenting. Whereas there is obviously occasions where it can be a bit of a slog. Maybe you don't have a musician who is as talented, but they're a great storyteller, or they're a great lyricist, or they're a great songwriter. Like it was said for years and years and years that like Bruce Springsteen wasn't a great singer, but he's one of my favorite artists. If you listen to his recordings, like there's little moments in the vocals which are a little bit pitchy and a little bit out of tune, and and they go in and out of time. Whereas like if you were to do that now, like a producer would have to like get to work and because they're able to fix it up, they'd probably they probably would get to work and fix it up because they can. Whereas back in the day, it was probably like, oh, can we just get you past the line? Yeah. Again, I don't know if that's a fact.
Yeah. But you think that Bruce would just go, no, keep it as is, because obviously he's got...
I hope so. Yeah.
He's got the reputation. He's in a position now where he can just go, no, that's that. It is what it is. And it's funny you should say that, because I kind of went back, I think, at the weekend, and I got all of Springsteen's back catalogue because I was listening to a podcast called The 500 where Josh Adam Myers, he kind of gets somebody on in the review an album, and it's the top 500 from Rolling Stone magazine. So he's going through all of these albums.
I've not listened to this.
They're fantastic. You'd be intrigued about it, because he relates the song, and they break the song down individually about where he was at the time and how it came about, and the problems the artist was having at the time, and everything, kind of really break it down. And Bruce was up last week, and I was listening to that one, and it was really good.
Which album was
just
it?
To hear that.
Do you remember which?
I don't know which album it was. No, I'll give you it after. But it wasn't one of his big ones, wasn't? But he was in between. I think he just had a divorce, so he was after his divorce, and then it was before Philadelphia as well. So he's in between these two areas of kind of, you can hear where Philadelphia's going to come from, and you can hear where his old stuff is, but there's a little kind of in between there, and they were breaking that down. But it was just fascinating. But it was a lot of lyrics about his divorce, and it was a lot of kind of heartache kind of thing. But that's what this guy. It's good though, but it's a kind of that storytelling thing. But it's nice. I'd like to think that he would keep it like real all the time. I think the Foo Fighters went back to that, where I went, right, we're going to be in a room, we're just going to record this, press record, and this is what's going to happen. We're going to just send this out. And you can hear that in the sound and the
I think production. There's something to be said for people who can do that. You have to be a great player to be able to do that. So it is good when bands can just go back to the drawing board and be like, right, we're just going to record on the tape, and we're going to listen to it back.
Or something,
We're going to listen to it back, and it's going to be all right. In one thing that I kind of, when young bands kind of say like, oh, what should we be focusing on? I say just focus on whatever you do, be really good at it. Because you're going to be more valuable like that. Like if you're a guitar player and all you do is sit in your bedroom and play guitar, but you start thinking, well, I've got to be doing all these other things as well. Down the line, you're going to be more valuable being just a really good guitar player who can write good guitar lines and record them well. Because you don't want to be wasting time in the studio going over and over your stuff and looking a bit daft. So that's something that I've like said to like younger people before, when they start talking about more like wider industry stuff, more like, oh, who should we go for PR, or who should we go here, or like how do we get a manager? Well, manager will come to you when you're killing it. Like they're in the business of making money, and they need art that is going to sell. So how do you convince the general public? You play your songs really, really well.
Like you go out every night, or 3 times a week and slog away.
That's what it is. So like, so with someone like the Foo Fighters recording on tape, like a lot of younger bands might think, oh, that's so cool, we should do that. But you need to be ready to do that. That's what's kind of so interesting about like back in the day, before like kind of the computer generation of like fixing stuff happening and stuff like that, because like it was literally the best of the best that were able to produce records. It was either an artist which had a really accomplished band behind them, or it was a band who could record on a tape and it was passable and it sounded great. So there's something to be said about that time period.
You hear the stories about them schlepping around kind of trying to get record contracts, and they couldn't get them, and even the biggest bands in the world now, they struggled when they first started out, and it just kind of hit lucky. Everyone has their own individual journey, and I think obviously you should, I don't know, like just say that to the bands, like young bands. I mean, is that the advice you would give them? Is just kind of, just do your thing, and then it'll either come, or if you put in the work, then you'll get there. Sometimes that doesn't work out though. I mean,
no, it doesn't. It just falls down to being like true to yourself, I guess. Deep down, I think everybody knows how good they are at something. I think everybody like you know, we all have goals and stuff like that, and sometimes we can get like, it can get a little bit foggy, being all like, oh, like, but I want to be there though, and
Do you think there's an element of trying too hard? Or wanting it too much? Do you think if you just let go and kind of just...
I don't know, because I think as long as you're being realistic, I think it's fine. Like, being hungry is great. Like, you want people to be hungry. You know what I mean?
You want to have the drive, haven't you?
Yeah, like, I've always been like a little bit of a maniac with that stuff. Like, a little bit like, don't really have days off. Like, I still work nowadays, but it is a case of like, when I go home tonight, like, what am I doing to progress the thing that I want to do for a job?
Yeah, even if you're thinking about ideas, thinking about the next thing,
Exactly. Yeah, like, even just thinking about it is sometimes being at work.
Yeah.
Because as long as your mind's going, and as long as you're invested in what you do, then time will only tell, I guess. But yeah, like, I would definitely just, if I was to start all again, I would just go, right, I'm just going to become great at writing songs.
Yeah.
Quick, like, earlier, because I'm good at writing songs now. But when I started off, I was trying to do everything. I was like, oh well, like, I'll do like the management, and I'll like be like the social media guy, and I'll also do this stuff. And for a long time, it was like, look, what it now I know that it's all in the song, to a certain degree. Obviously, if your song is packaged terribly and it's not recorded well and all these sort of things, but if you can write a great song and you can play it live well, then eventually someone's going to go, oh, like, I'll record you, or like, why don't you go to this studio, your song's mint. I
mean, who's doing it at the minute? I mean, obviously we see the likes of Lewis Capaldi, who's just kind of blown up. He's a fantastic songwriter, fantastic singer as well. Is Jerry Cinnamon?
Yeah.
And Sam Fender. And Sam Fender, he's gone quite big as well, isn't he? He's from he's
enormous,
a local fella, but it kind of just, it's strange how things take off for certain people. I'm guessing Jerry Cinnamon, he's been around for a while. Whereas Sam Fender, he hasn't been around for a while, and Lewis Capaldi's he's the Instagram king, isn't he? He's the social media king. But I think there's 3 different avenues there. But where are they going to end up? I think for me, it should be. Is it about the long game? Because you've got to have longevity in the game as well. Because I see so many bands, even like the Vaccines, people like that. I'm like, you have one album that spikes so high and goes so hard, that difficult second album, which everybody always talks about, all band members say, try coming back from that, and they kind of fizzle out a bit. I know, you've got your followers and there's people still going out to see your gigs, and then there's the flip side, like Elbow, which I love. It's like 20 years grinding, and then you get out there, sung on the Olympics or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? And then you become this household name, and people kind of love you, and then it's just, there's 2 different journeys there. So I just want to ask you about that as well, just kind of different journeys of people, and
I think what's interesting about that is the 3 examples: Jerry Cinnamon, Sam Fender, and Lewis Capaldi.
Yeah, because they're pretty much now, aren't they? They're in there.
They're in there right now. Like, they are the 3, like three of the most talked about British names right now. They're all selling loads of tickets. Their albums are doing great.
So they've established the fan base. So that's the heart of the soul, isn't it?
I think what's interesting about those 3 is they're famous people. They're somewhere in that pop spectrum, that pop bubble, a pop star.
So they've been marketed, the PR, they've got good managers, agents, or whatever it is, and
they've got great teams behind them. I don't think it's
magic formula to that though.
No, I think they were just good at what they did, and somebody who was able to work with them and make it happen decided to start working with them. There's loads of people obviously who are great who never get that chance. It happens, but there's loads of different ways that it can work out. I think, like what I was saying with those three names, I think they are massively successful on the mainstream pop game. So what you were saying about like having an album that like spikes and then maybe the next one doesn't do as well, as I think it's all about what are your long-term goals really.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you want to be the most famous act in the world for your whole life, it's just unrealistic, because I don't know anybody really who's ever really had that.
No.
Well, like Michael Jackson, Elvis, the Beatles.
Yeah, there's kind of one-offs.
If you think about how many musicians there are in the world,
yeah,
those people are like 1 in a billion. Like in like how often they come about is very, very rare.
Yeah. Because I think after I think there's only Adele that has kind of managed to stay at that level.
Well, it's like Lady Gaga. You got the icons of today, people like Lady Gaga,
especially from this country, though. You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. From this country, like who was the last one that was potentially gonna be that? Maybe like Sam Smith or something.
Yeah, Sam Smith's. You know, he got there quite, but it was quite nice. It wasn't an all of a sudden spike. It was kind of, you saw him coming. Do you know what I mean? You saw him. Yeah. The first one was pretty solid. Second one was even better. And that's quite a nice thing to see. Even like George Ezra as well, you know.
Yeah, George Ezra. What that boils down to, like the George Ezra thing, like it could have been a one-hit wonder thing when he released, what was it, Budapest? Yeah. Like, what was that, like 2015, 2016 or something? And then what was it last year when he came out with...
Was it Shotgun, was it?
Yeah, it was a massive song, that, wasn't it?
Shotgun.
It was a massive radio song.
If
and
you go to any kid's party, anyone under the age of 10 loves that song. And I think he's got... He kind of... He covers a lot of age ranges, and I think that's the beauty of his pop songs, is that.
Yeah, totally. And I think what that's an example of is that somebody just being true to themselves and going, I'm not going to be the most famous artist in the world forever. I'm just going to have a hit song, and I'm still me at the end of it. And then I'm going to continue writing songs because that's what I do as a person. And I've practiced it loads over the years. And if I keep writing songs, another one will come. And if the people surrounding us decide to invest in it, then that's great. But what more could someone like George Ezra have done? He's a songwriter, he's a musician. All he can do is have a hit and then continue to work. Yeah. Because if you the only way that it's you're not fully in control, but what you can be in control of is what you're actually good at. Yeah. And that's writing a song. So I think another one was that pop star Mike Posner, who had he had a song back in like 2010 or something called Cooler Than Me. And he had this, and he's became quite like famous on the internet now because he's became quite like inspirational. I think he had like a stint with depression and like drug and alcohol abuse and all that sort of stuff, because he was quite famous in about 2010 with his song Cooler Than Me. I think it was top of the charts for a bit. But he was a one-hit wonder. Yeah. And then he dropped off. All of his mates kind of left him and stuff. Well, not his mates, but more of his
team kind of thing.
Yeah, just those people that were surrounding him because of where he was, his status at the time. And then years later, he came back with that I Took a Pill in Ibiza song. And that's when who was it who remixed it? I think it was Avicii. Right. But I'm not entirely sure.
It's one of the top tier kind of
DJs.
Yeah,
like and that was like a massive global hit. Yeah. And he then came back and started like kind of explaining that whole story, being like, oh, I had this hit. It was great. I had all this money. It took a nosedive. Yeah. I didn't really know how to deal with it, but I kept writing songs. And then all of a sudden, one of them just kind of got picked up again. And people said, oh, no, this one's going to work. You're back in business.
Right, okay.
And he's a different he seems to be a bit of a different person now, dealing with that second hit than he was when he dealt with the first hit.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good example of like, what else was he to do? He's a songwriter. It's not really his fault that all of these songs aren't a hit. It's not really down for him to choose that. All he can do is create something that he believes in.
Yeah.
And if everybody else doesn't pick up on it, then just write another one.
Yeah.
And just write another one. It all boils down to whether you like what you're doing in this game, I think, because that's really the only way that you're going to really grab a lot of people's attention, is if you're true to yourself.
I just imagine there's loads of people out there sitting on a fantastic song, one of the best songs ever, but we're not going to hear it, and that to me is kind of heartbreaking in a way, because that some people don't get a chance because they haven't got the opportunity to go out, or they're just tragically kind of insecure or whatever it is that they can't actually put it on the stage. I mean, that's a good thing about maybe X Factor and things like that, platforms like that, which are kind of dying a death because they're being done so many times.
Yeah, they're doing like loads of different spin-offs now, and they've got the celebrity one now
as well. So I think that's gonna kind of fall off a little bit, like the voice and things like that. But you want to get your song heard, and I think social media is great for that. YouTube as well, because there's people out there who you never heard of, and they've got like loads of followers because people love the song and they kind of connect with the song as well. And it depends on the age range as well. So for me, it's quite, I don't know. It's one of those things I always think about, the people who are sitting on something. Who's the next guy? Who's the next athlete? Who's the next big thing? Do you know what I mean? So
I think it would be amazing, right, if everybody just had, if all those one songs from a singular artist were hits, and we all knew. And the Beatles only ever had one hit, and Michael Jackson only ever had one hit, and Prince only ever had one hit, and all these people would only ever had one hit. But it's not really like the way that anything really works. I think it's like, imagine a restaurant where they open their doors, but they've only got one meal to serve. It's like, there's your meal, have it. People walk away going, oh my God, that was amazing. That meal was delicious. But then they want it again. They want another dish. They want to be able to say to their friends, oh, come to this restaurant and have this dish that I had the other night. Then they rock up the restaurant and there's just a chef in the kitchen going, no, I've done my dish. Like, I've cooked my dish. Like, you can't. And like, I think that's what the music industry is. And that's why one hit wonders are a thing, because
we still hear them on the radio 20 years on as well. You still hear that one song.
Exactly. Like,
that,
but you need to. The music industry's built up of songs and songwriters, and I think to have longevity in the game, you need to be a songwriter, or you need to be an artist who can perform other people's songs to a really high standard. It is, the music industry has real deep artistry, and then it has more performing arts, sort of, we are performers, girl bands and boy bands, and even Elvis wasn't a songwriter. He was a performer,
wasn't he? Yeah.
But he was a great performer. When we go to the cinema and we watch actors, they're great actors. Some of them haven't written the script, and they haven't directed the movie. You know what I mean? So like, there's room for every type of artistry, as long as it's, you just gotta be the best out of a bunch.
I think
to have your chance.
I think the one guy who's kind of probably nailing it all with that is Ed Sheeran, because he writes songs for everybody. I know he's had a few kind of law suits in the States, about 15 songs or something about. I think if you're breaking any song down, you can kind of pick
the lawsuit thing does my head in,
because you go, actually, that sounds a bit like that. There's a lot of things that do sound like other things. I mean, unless you put them side by side, then you go, fair enough. I mean, even Led Zeppelin, they went to court and they kind of came out on top, really, didn't they? Even though they did pretty much take the beginning. Stairway to Heaven, was it?
Was that a rip-off, was it?
Apparently so, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't believe it. I don't...
Because I heard... Because there was a band that toured with them, and they used one of their song intros on the intro for Stairway to Heaven. And when you put them two together, it was carbon copy. But I think in court they were like, look, they've made such a big hit from it, and it's I don't know, they kind of, how can you say it's copied, and it's not. It's one of those things that you just got to go, right, they might have, but they made it, you didn't, and you know, but you fail for the guy, you fail for the small guy, do you know what I mean? Because you go, what happens if that was you? You're going to be like, why, you stole my thing, you know, your supporting act, and then they steal your song and write a hit, just because they can put a hit out.
The thing is I have no doubt that it has happened before. Like,
it has to.
Like genuine plagiarism.
Yeah.
Like going, like seeing an act play somewhere and then doing a bit of research on them, and you know they've got no like real like legal affairs in order, and they haven't got a manager, and nothing's in order. So you go, but that was a great song. Like, I'll do it. I have no doubt that maybe that's happened before. I think the lawsuit thing has just gotten a little bit out of control recently. A couple of examples were Ed Sheeran songs, and the other one was Radiohead doing "Creep."
All right,
that's gone both ways. So basically, the Hollies, "The Air That I Breathe," the original. I don't even know when that was. I think it was like the 60s or maybe even like late 50s. I'm not too sure. Years later, Radiohead come out with "Creep." The Hollies sue Radiohead. And recently Lana Del Rey came out with a song, and then I'm pretty sure Radiohead sued Lana Del Rey. I'm not entirely sure, but
for that same song.
Yeah.
Also for Creep.
So they've
got like
sued
3
Radiohead. The Hollies have sued Radiohead, and then Radiohead have sued Lana Del Rey.
Right, okay.
Or the Hollies have again sued Lana Del Rey, which sounds more realistic, but from memory, I actually think it was the Hollies Radiohead to Lana Del Rey.
Okay.
And look, the chords are the same on the verse. The chords are the same, but what is happening is they're just strumming the chords in a pattern. And I think when you are writing songs, there's a moment when you just realize that you've done something that's good, and you pursue it, and then sometimes you might take it somewhere and someone goes, "Oh, that's the same chords as that," and you kind of got to go, oh, but I do something totally different on the chorus. I do something totally different here. Like my vocal melody is obviously similar to what came before it, because that's the obvious note to use on this chord sequence. And I think and in that situation, you've kind of got to go, oh, but I love me tune. Should we just put me tune out and see what happens? And then obviously you get years and years later, someone might come back from Holly's team, the Hollies, and go, oh, there's money in this if we sue them, because they're on a different publisher to us. It's a different team. We'll sue them. We'll get loads of money. We'll get the songwriting royalties from that song every time that song's played on air now, or whether it's on TV adverts or whatever. And that's when it becomes a money game, and that's when the art really suffers. Because I don't believe for a second that Radiohead sat down, who are such an accomplished band, one of the greatest bands of all time, sat down and went, that Holly song, we need to pinch that so we can have a hit.
I think especially for originality as well, I think they're renowned for being original, because even their own fans turn on them after like 2 or 3 albums deep, so
they're a great, they're one in a million. Like they're really good at what they do. And I don't think for a second that a band who are that accomplished decided, oh, we're really struggling here, maybe we'll pull the wool over people's eyes and rip off the Hollies from the 1960s or whenever it's from. Don't get us wrong, the Hollies is a great song, but so is Creep. They're 2 different songs that just have similarities. And honestly, like, some of the best stuff is really simple. So there's not that many options of simple things.
Because they're saying that about Oasis as well,
Oh well, I think it's an influence thing. It's an influence thing rather than a.
But you can't. The thing is, I listen to Oasis kind of every other day. It's on it's on the playlist loop and all that kind of stuff, and just the songwriting's phenomenal. People complain that they play like 3 chords or whatever it is. I don't care. You're doing a lot with those 3 chords.
Oh mate, like
it's just phenomenal.
when you find your style, and you figure out what it is, you'll be surprised how many people use the same chords over and over again, but just in a different pattern. And because that's what's resonating with them as songwriters, they're going, oh, when I do those chords, something that I get inspired to write vocals, and I get inspired to say things on top of those chords. So that's why a lot of bands might use the same. But that's how a band kind of define their sound. You know, like an Oasis sound is a G chord, a D chord, an A sus, an E chord. They're just in different, a C. They're all just in different. They're all just in different areas. Sometimes they're in the same areas. They're just in a different rhythm. Yeah. And then every now and then they'll play a low riff, or every now and then they'll do like something on a piano when everything gets a little bit more Beatles-esque. But yeah, like. I just don't care about things being if things are plagiarized. As long as it gives you a kick, I don't really care. As long as it's a good song. If something is if you've had a night where you sit around with all your music mates and you have a Marvin Gaye binge and you just love it, and then 2 months later, and from your subconscious, you kick out a riff that's a little bit Marvin Gaye-esque, but you've written a great song because Marvin Gaye has influenced you, then fuck it, man. Like, it's just more music for people to enjoy.
Well, the thing is, it only matters when people are starting to make money from it.
Well, that's it.
Because no one cares when you're not making money from it, and that's why they jump on it, because they want a slice of the pie. Because if it didn't get out there, it wasn't popular, we'd all be sitting there, it sounds a bit like this. And you wouldn't care, would you? So that's the thing. I mean, how, where do you get your influence as well when you're writing your songs? Because you band Bare Roots, is that right?
Yeah.
I know, because I know you from a previous band, but this band now, how long have you been together now?
Well, I'll backtrack a little bit, because obviously you know us from the previous band.
I do, yeah.
Me, Martin and Joe have now been playing together since I was 16, which is terrifying. So it's about 12 years.
So you must be like at top of your game. I mean, there must be like brothers kind of performing now. So
I mean,
do you know each
I mean,
other
we know each other really well. We'll all deny that.
Yeah.
But we do know each other pretty well, and we've got like a good working relationship.
Yeah.
When it comes to music, like, we have a formula, and we have a way to work, and we've ironed out the creases. We're always learning, we always will be, but we have a way of doing stuff that works. We play with a guy called Ollie in Bare Roots, so it's me, Martin, Joe, and Ollie. And yeah, it was basically because we've been playing together for so long in like a different band, we decided to kind of form something which was a little bit more, I don't want to say mature because it's a cliche, but more.
Well, you kind of you probably say that now because everyone grows, everyone, you're in a different mindset as you change throughout life, because add on 10 years. If I say to you now, do you want to family and kids? You'd be like, nah, I ain't got time for that. If I add on another 10 years, you'd be like, yeah, that's where I'm at now. Because,
well, yeah, exactly.
That's life. Your mind changes and your way of thinking changes. But, I mean, from you guys kind of, kicking around as 16-year-olds to now, I mean, do you kind of look at it and go, it's nice that we're still here and we're still playing together, because it must be something nice about that kind of click and that friendship as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we obviously happen to just love what we do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that we were like massively successful. I wouldn't say that we were unsuccessful. I think we just kind of live and breathe what we do, and I think we like what we all bring to the party. So that kind of keeps it going. I think our crack and our banter is kind of like formed now. Like a lot of friendship groups probably is that way.
Yeah.
We laugh at the same things.
Well,
we take the mick out of the same things. We take the mick out of each other.
Getting upset without someone spitting the dummy out, you can do it. And for a fact, if you do, they're going to walk back in 15 minutes.
Well, that there's something to be said for that, because it gets very, very grueling. Yeah. Like, a lot of people from the outside will have no idea what we go through when we're making stuff.
Yeah.
We go to work.
Yeah.
We really do. We go to work, and if something isn't good enough or something needs to be said, we all want this to keep growing, and we want it to become bigger than we could ever have imagined as 16-year-olds. We want it to keep growing. So for it to keep growing, sometimes decisions need to be made and things need to be said. And I think when things are said, it takes a certain type of character to, like maybe be a bit upset, maybe be a bit gutted or whatever, but then to then think about it and then go, nah, I'm still in this. That's fair enough. I'm going to improve on it.
Yeah.
And honestly, it just makes you better. And I think there's something to be said for us three just continuing to go at it and strive to be better. We really, really like what we do. Yeah. But I think we like the whole thing. I think we've got a little bit like entrepreneurial spirit about us. We want to improve at everything. Like we're always willing to, like, oh, what would make our band better? You invest in that. Or what would make our band better? You learn that. What would make our band better? You practice these things.
Well, that's probably that's hand in hand with the maturity thing as well, because you see in other avenues where you can get better and improve, and the older you get, you want to improve more, and you can hone it down to that specific thing instead of going, oh well, just try it and see what happens. You go, actually, we can be honest about it. Can you try that and you try that and I'll try this, and then at least you're all bringing it down to a certain thing which needs to be improved. And that's only going to make it better. If you're honest about it, it's only going to make things better, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And like I think I think most successful bands probably go through a similar sort of process of being a little bit tough, and just I think it boils down to that hunger. Like saying to yourself, like, no, this is what I want to do. So like, if again we'll use the like business analogy of if you set up a business and you want that to put food on your table, then you do what you've got to do for it to succeed. You've got to make tough decisions, and I think and we do that now. But we have, don't get us wrong, we have like so much fun when we're making a tune and it's going well. That's when you're at your highest. You know what I mean? And it's great. Oh, you play like a good show. Like Bare Roots hasn't been a band for very long. Obviously, we've been a band for ages. But Bare Roots has only been a band since, well, not even a year. It's been February.
Really?
So like we've put out 4 songs. We're currently recording a bunch more. We've played 8 or 9 shows now. And we're looking just to keep building year on year and use the experience that we've gathered since being kids. When we were kids, we were terrible. Like, we were so bad. I remember like I remember one day like playing at the Cooperage in Newcastle and like looking up, and the sound guy was right next to the stage, just to the side, and his face will never leave me. Just a face of utter disgust, just staring at us. And like, now that I'm older, like I totally understand why his face was the way it was.
Yeah, because I bet you've rolled your eyes at a few people, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. So like he's there, he's getting paid. He just did not want to be there. Like he was getting nothing from that night. He couldn't, like, people were probably looking at him thinking he was doing a terrible job. Because of how bad we were. So like
shrugging his shoulders.
Yeah, like our bass player at the time he was called Dewey, and like I love Dewey to bits, like really great friend. He used to get really, really drunk before shows. So he was like 19 or something at the time. So he's one of the only people I know who can drink a bottle of Jack Daniels and not pass out. So a full bottle of Jack Daniels. He walks around like he's in Motley Crue drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels. He fell over at that show and got his feet stuck in between his bass strings, which I have no idea how a foot can even fit in that gap, and the strings snapped. And only recently I was thinking, oh, that sound guy's face, he wasn't impressed with that show, and it just makes total sense. Why would you be?
Yeah.
I'd laugh if I was doing sound and the bass player happened to get his feet stuck in his bass, fall over, and his bass string snap. That would be great. That would be a good night at work, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So we were crap for a long time, and I think just wanting to do it has led us to a point where we do everything off our own backs in regards to recording and stuff like that. Martin has built a studio in his house. He presses all the buttons. He does that. I write songs. Joe works really, really hard at being like accomplished on the bass. He really like dives into that. He practices every single day. And with that as well, I remember hearing an interview with Kings of Leon when they spoke about their bass player. I think the bass
his cousin,
player,
wasn't it?
It's his cousin.
It's his cousin, who couldn't play anything.
He couldn't play.
They gave him a bass and went, right, do you want to join our band? And he was like, all right, okay.
Yeah, and basically, like, so I hear stories that he basically went to work, hid away, practiced, and then he came out a beast. Yeah, and to be honest with you, like, I kind of like that's kind of happened with Joe. Like, he just went, right, I'm just gonna practice this, and that's where I've kind of learned that it's really valuable just to be good at something. Whatever you can't do it all in a band or a business. Business people will know that. They hire people to do things.
They hire people to do things. Yeah, that's the best business way, because you can't do anything. Everything, can you?
You've just got to like. So, I think there's something to be said for just looking at what you want to do and become really, really accomplished with it. And maybe good things will happen. Maybe they won't. But I just genuinely think they will. Because even if it wasn't to happen in this band, I think we all have skills which would be useful for somebody else somewhere. I'm really good friends with Drew, who plays in Sam Fender, and he played in bands for years locally. He even moved down to Brighton at one point to be in a band. One thing that I always remember about Drew was he was tunnel vision with playing drums. All of his Facebook posts would just be him videoing himself playing the drums. It would be, and he was always the best drummer when we went to college and stuff like that, and locally he was like, oh, he's a great drummer. And it's because he just played drums all the time. That's how you get good. Yeah. He played drums all the time because he loved it.
And then he's putting himself in the scenarios and the places to try and get better.
And that's when
trying to find it, isn't he? So yeah.
When Sam Fender was eventually able to progress as an artist, and he needed a drummer, first person in his mind was Drew. Yeah. And now Drew's off and he's playing shows all over the world. And I think there's a lesson in that, just to be good at what you do. Yeah. Figure out what it is that you want to do, and then be good at it. So yeah.
That's a good story though. It's quite nice that, you know, he finally got to where he wanted to be, really. So
yeah, but like honestly, like if Sam Fender wasn't a thing, if Sam Fender never got picked up, or even if there was no such person as Sam Fender, like he would still be doing what he's doing.
Something with somebody else.
He'd be doing, he'd be putting videos up of him playing online. Yeah. He'd be playing in a different band. That band would ever get successful, or he would just continue going. And I think there's only so many, like, we're only alive for so many decades at the end of the day. Like, surely in 10-year gaps, there's gonna be something happen somewhere if you're good at what you do.
Yeah, if you keep putting
the work in. There's gonna be something somewhere where someone goes, I need a drummer and he's good. Yeah. Or there'll be it could be any scenario. It could be, we're putting together a band to do a theatre production. And somebody happens to get the job where they are the musical director there, and they need to build a band, and they go, oh well, who's the best drummer? That person. And doing that is the moment that is kind of like life defining. That sounds really like cringy, and like it sounds very like deep, but like, you know, I imagine that people like Drew have gone on and done these big festivals and they get a #1 album and they do these things. I imagine when they're 70, they'll probably go, that was a big deal, wasn't it? Yeah. That was my moment. I imagine that's probably what's happening right now, but if it didn't happen now, I have no doubt that it would have happened for him in 20 years. Something would have happened where it would have been like, all that playing drums paid off, didn't it?
Because
You know
there's
what I mean?
a Netflix documentary about session musicians. Did you see it?
Hired gun, is it?
I think it is. It's the guy who plays guitar on the Rolling Stones, and there's always the guy who's an integral part of the band. It's like a fifth or sixth member. And there's always that guy, but you never hear about them. It's a shame that they've probably played with the band longer than the band has been around. Before he started with them. So it's a shame they can't just go, oh well, he's part of the band, but because he's not the first four or whatever it was when they established themselves, then he doesn't get the credit for being there, but he gets the work. But as soon as they stop touring, though, the sad thing about it was, I don't want to get too bogged up in the sad thing about when they stop touring, then they don't get the work anymore because they're not writing songs, so they're not getting any residuals. But it's the same thing about record companies as well. There's Taylor Swift. She's not even allowed to play her own songs at the minute.
Yeah. I've read about that.
She's kind of, as soon as that contract's up, then she's gonna re-record everything. So and then she's gonna put it all back out again.
Yeah, the current thing is she might not be allowed to re-record her stuff.
Really?
I think that's what it is. I think it's something like...
She sold the rights to her songs, didn't she, to our management? Is that... Because I think that's what I heard.
Yeah, I think it's... I don't know the full story, but it's Scooter Braun who basically found Justin Bieber, and from there he started like this... He became like a bit of a music mogul.
Yeah.
So he has management companies, I think, and record companies and all that sort of stuff. I think what's happened is Taylor Swift wants her songs to be on something on Netflix. Yeah. I think.
Right. Okay.
And they're a bit like no. I can't remember the reason why. I imagine she might be in a different contract now or something.
So she doesn't have the permission to put her songs.
It's not her music, basically. Yeah. It belongs to the record label. It's their property.
Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it, though, isn't it?
It is.
She sang and wrote the songs, and because you signed a contract.
That's funny, though, because we're talking about all those great songs that we don't hear.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan by any means, but like...
it's a good example of what the music industry is and can be, and the dark side of the music industry as well. Because not getting royalties and not having control of your music, which is a lot of 80s bands had and 70s bands had as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that issue still now. The record company gets all the money.
Well, obviously the contract at the time is signed to be like, from whatever money's made, we will give you this.
Yeah, percentages.
Well, like royalty splits and all that sort of stuff, and then what would you call it? Sort of when you do like a brand deal.
All right, okay.
You'll like say if someone does something for Nike or Pepsi or whatever, like you'll get that.
Kanye West with Adidas.
Yeah, like all that sort of stuff. These are all things that the team do to basically make as much money as possible from an artist being like popular. It's similar in boxing, like Anthony Joshua. Like when before he lost to Ruiz, he was on everything.
Yeah.
Lucozade adverts, Apple adverts, everywhere. Like in the past 6 months since he lost to Ruiz, it's just kind of been like
Under Armour, you see him on Under Armour, but he's not on everything like he was.
He's not on everything like he was because unfortunately it's not good business.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's like the public perception of Anthony Joshua turned really, really quick, which I thought was really sour. They're not true fans of him. What they are, they're true fans of the big guy who's currently winning. And that happens in music as well. People love someone losing. People love it. Unfortunately, that's just what happens.
It's easy to hate on things. That's the thing. It's easy to hate on things, and if it makes you feel better when somebody else is doing bad.
Yeah, it's just that's one of the shit sides of our society.
Social media. That's pretty much what it's based on, and it's what the algorithms are based on as well.
It's amplified by social media, I think.
Because I think Facebook pushes out posts for you to hate because
because it gets
click on things you hate, or it kind of creates a conversation or an argument. So,
I think that's how it gets to us.
Right.
I think the algorithm is just working in an unbiased way, but we happen to just navigate to stuff that gets. what gets us riled up and gets us interested is that's why our news feeds is full of stuff on Brexit, full of stuff on politics right now, because people are getting angry, and people are wanting to comment, and people are wanting to put their voice. So when there's 1,000 comments or 2,000 or 50,000 comments, Facebook are going, well, this is valuable content. We'll spin that round and we'll push it to people who may not have commented on it yet. Because if we can get more people commenting it, Facebook, I probably think, someone in Facebook at some point probably went, wouldn't it be great if every single person on Facebook commented on one post?
Yeah.
How hilarious would that be? Obviously, it's never going to happen. But it'd be interesting, though, if something was so popular that literally every account on Facebook had something to say on it. That'd be weird. That would be a weird place to be. But yeah, with with record deals and stuff like that, again, what's interesting for me is we spoke about how songs might have been written by someone and they'll never get heard.
Yeah.
I kind of understand where record companies are coming from to a certain degree, because they let us hear songs that we might not have heard otherwise. There's obviously a million ways that someone can get heard these days. Someone can start a YouTube channel completely off their own back, completely independent, and if the content's great, people will hear it. Someone can go out on the street, busk, and a crowd may gather. That can happen. Someone can be local, literally never have any representation, just play live and people love it. So then when they put on a show at the O2 Academy or Riverside or whatever, people just go.
People turn up. Yeah.
That can happen. But record labels and all these sort of music industry companies, they've gotten really, really good at being able to promote stuff. So they've built relationships with tastemakers like big radio stations and magazines and brands and all these people. So what they do is they then sign an artist who they think has it, and they go, we'll sort that out, we'll sort this out, we'll sort that out. That'll create an enormous reach, and then we'll let the audience dictate whether we keep that relationship going or not. So if someone has a number one album, they're going to be like, okay, well, we'll continue doing what we're doing, and then it's down to the artist to either trump what they've done or not create something as compelling, and then the audience kind of decide. And that's where I think the whole people jumping off ship when something's not really as good. I do kind of love how in music people can have like hardcore fan bases. People can be on their 10th album, and by album 6, radio doesn't play them anymore. Magazines don't feature them on the front covers anymore. They're not a hot topic anymore.
I mean, is that possibly an age thing as well? Because obviously I think radio, I mean, what frustrates me about radio is it's targeted to a certain audience, but it depends on which channel you're listening to, because that's the audience that they're kind of catering to. So, you get one that plays classics and you get one that plays this, plays that. Good thing about digital radio is you've got a lot of choice on there.
Yeah. But I do like DAB radio.
I mean, but terrestrial though, it's like Radio 1. I mean, some of the songs you could blend into the same song. Do you know what I mean? It's the same beat,
I totally
same
feel
producer,
you on that.
And it just kind of frustrates you. But it's that kind of old man syndrome talking. But I stick 6 music on. There's always something interesting there. But it just even just radio in itself kind of frustrates me, because the adverts and the selling point and things like that. It's so
on like Metro and Capital and
just
all that
everything.
Sort of stuff.
I can't get through the.
I don't think I've
adverts,
listened to radio in ages that has adverts on it.
I haven't listened to radio for about I mean, DAB's great because you can flick through different channels which you want. You can tell the age when you're just sticking on absolute 90s all the time. Do you know what I mean? But they've got some solid tracks on there. So
Well, the 30-year cycle. Do you know what the 30-year cycle is? How people
No, but I heard that from your teenage years. That's the kind of area you stick to throughout your life. And I'm always trying to seek out new things and trying to find new bands, but you always gravitate back to the kind of ones you love as well. But for me, I like albums. I like a solid 10-song
You
album.
love albums, yeah?
I love an album.
Yeah.
Songs, keep it for the gym,
Aye.
If you're releasing one song, you only one song good. I want to see 10 tracks as good as the next one.
Aye.
And it's quite rare that I get a good solid 10-song album. I'm like, because I'm passionate about that. I used to buy it as a kid. You used to kind of have to wait for 3 months. I've mentioned this before. You have your, 10, 12 pound. You've got to pick one of these albums that's going to come out. You've got to make that decision. And it's going to take you 3 months to make that decision. And you get one album.
Yeah.
Not now. You can kind of, it's coming everywhere. I'll just click that. I'll click this. I'll click that. What's this? What's that? You had to invest in that only money you had in your hand to buy that single album.
I love that. Like, that's what's so good about the vinyl resurgence.
Sold that as well. But
totally.
now, LPs are out and stuff like that. Even yesterday, the Future Heads, they're bringing out their first album because they're like, I heard it's £90 or something for a copy of it. Now we'll just re-release it and you can buy it for like £7-8 or something like that. So it's stuff like that. But for me, it was it's this is old man talking here. But there's a I don't know. There's a thing about enjoying the artwork to something. Thinking about it,
totally
waiting for
that.
it.
I think that's where the vinyl resurgences came from.
Yeah,
the whole like people do like holding something and reading it, and like, don't get us wrong, not everybody does. Back in the day, you had to do that. You had to, like, it was cool to go to the record shop, browse, pick something up that you like the look of, sit in an armchair, put it on the vinyl, sit, listen to it for 45 minutes, and then get up and make a decision on whether you're going to listen to it again.
That's probably a society thing, though, because you don't get time to sit and listen to something.
Well, busier these days as well.
Whereas younger people are doing it now, so younger people do have the time because they're going to be in a room or in the dorm room or whatever. They're going to stick the record on. I'm as guilty as anyone. I haven't bought a record, but I don't have a record player, so they'll just end up being frisbees in the house with the kids. So. But yeah, it's just that love of the vinyl, the different colour, the 10-inch,
totally.
coloured vinyl as well. I remember so many bands that I used to, which you probably never heard of, like 1,000 Yard Stare and, Ned's Atomic Dustbin, people like that, So
I wouldn't put it past us,
like. So,
I mean, I hadn't heard of those two, but I would definitely, I'd give it a try. Like,
I was going to ask you as well. I was going to say, just start a conversation with what's wrong with a bit of Creed now and again.
Creed, that turned into Alter Bridge, didn't it?
Well, it's
Passionate Rock.
Well, the thing is, it's Scott Stapp, isn't it?
Is that the singer?
It's Scott Stapp from.
Why did they start Alter Bridge without him? Is it because Miles Kane? What's he called? Miles Kennedy.
Kane.
Not Miles Kane.
Miles Kane is the other fella, isn't he?
He's the one in
Miles
Alex
Kennedy.
Turner, isn't he?
Yeah, Miles Kennedy. But we could talk about this all day. But I mean, Alter Bridge, I think, are better now than they used to be. For me, I'm not really keen on Miles Kennedy because I'm not really keen on his voice. But Mark Tremonti in Tremonti, that band is my favourite band. It's like Tremonti.
Really?
Oh, seriously. So I'm all over Tremonti. But now,
it's like virtuoso guitar stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of they're now sounding heavier and they're sounding more like Tremonti than they used to be. But I prefer the lyrics on Tremonti, so it's one of those. It's kind of what your tastes are and stuff like that. But I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, it's kind of just talking about like kind of bands, like kind of. There's a lot of that as well, the mix up and the amalgamation of bands and guys coming from this. Miles Kennedy went on to sing for Slash, and lots of this. So. That to me, I mean, that's where I'm at with my kind of bands at the minute, Alter Bridge and Tremonti and stuff. I do like the heavy stuff, but
that's meant like the rock and roll. It kind of like Creed were like a Christian rock band, weren't they? It was like all
apparently so, Christian rock band. I mean, you just like a tune, that's it. But it's kind of one of those what's your guilty conscience.
When I was younger,
what's your guilty pleasures,
when I was younger, I really liked What's This Life For?
Right, okay.
I have no idea why I just liked it. Probably because it was deep, and at the time I was like 15, so I was like, "This is deep," and this speaks to me.
But
what is this life for?
Yeah, but can we not go back to kind of like a good song's a good song?
Oh, 100%,
it's a good
man.
riff, good melody, good.
Yeah, totally,
you're in, and it's it doesn't matter what it is. The same as like Nickelback, they get loads of haters. I couldn't stand listening to them now because they went kind of country rock or whatever, but. Yeah, it's that kind of what's wrong with a bit of that? What's wrong with a bit of that?
Like honestly, like music gets really deep on the underground and stuff like that. Like a lot of what's cool
But you shouldn't follow what's cool. There's lots of layers and levels.
I think you should just
when
do
I was a
what feels
teenager, it was like
natural to you,
metal, I had Metallica badges down your lapels and stuff like that. But,
Yeah.
but as you get older, I got into dance and kind of and hip hop and rap and all that kind of stuff as well. And even like DJs like Roger Sanchez and Kenny Carpenter, so you kind of got into that club culture because that was your lifestyle at the time, the club culture. And then you revert back, and then you kind of looking at lots of different. But now you sort of, I can listen to Bee Gees, I can listen to Metallica, I can,
you like what you like, man.
You like what you like,
Totally.
Even I think the Dixie Chicks, they have a fantastic album which is produced by Rick Rubin. It's probably like 10 years old when they started coming out about Bush and all. It's a very political album, and then they got loads of hate. It's a phenomenal album, and Rick Rubin, anything he touches turns to gold.
He's a great producer.
Yeah, he is phenomenal.
Beastie Boys, Jay-Z.
But it seems
Adele.
to me because he did Adele's album. Was like I think the second off last one, was it, or was the first album?
Yeah, I think
it was 21. I think
it was the one with Hello on it, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but
for me, we're kind of backtracking here as well. But it's nice to hear that.
Yeah,
that's a great album. That's fantastic. Oh, Rick Rubin. He kind of just works with who he wants to, and he kind of whatever he touches turns to kind of gold. Really, not sure about the last Kanye West one, but I don't really give it too much.
Kanye West just does whatever he wants to do at this stage.
There's only so much you can control that fella in
like what I was saying before. It's like it's about making the best album as a producer. It's about making the best album that artist can make at that time.
Them. Yeah.
I don't think like. There is producers who are songwriters and stuff like that, and they work with people who are more performers, and they'll just do the whole thing. But people like Rick Rubin and stuff like that, they let the artists, they work with people who are makers of things, and then they just make sure that it translates through speakers by getting the best results possible.
Because I think he even did Death Magnetic as well. I think it was the first time the Metallica didn't go with, I think it was Bob Rock. They went off because the Saint Anger just went off the rails, which was terrible. It was a terrible album, do you know what I mean? And then they came back with Death Magnetic, which was just phenomenal. For me, it was back to kind of and Justice for All days. It was like back to that 8-minute songs, do you know what I mean? And totally. Levels and layers and stuff like that. And I think that's his talent.
Laws is a funny drummer.
He's all over the shop. I'm not sure.
I'm
not keen on the fella himself, but
have you watched the documentary?
I have. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
They're interesting.
Very interesting.
They don't seem happy, do they?
Well, James Hetfield's back in rehab. So he's rehab now because he must have been in and out about 5 times or something. But
he speaks the most sense out of the bunch. Throughout the documentary, I would say he seems like the most level-headed. I think Laws just seems out of control.
But it's kind of his band. He started the thing. That's
totally.
the problem. You've got the hierarchical kind of. It's like the Crown or something.
I've always found it really interesting with Metallica because if you listen to him drum, he's not that good. He's not a very good drummer, but they are literally one of the most iconic bands of all time, and it's really interesting. It kind of takes away what I've been saying about getting good, because it's like if you can play like Laws, there's a chance. But I think it's because their songs are good. I think the songs in at the time, like thrash metal and stuff like that, was new and interesting, and that was like. Half the battle is having something that spikes someone's ear and gets people talking.
But they built their following from the 80s as well, so they've had a good solid following. But they were starting this kind of genre, the new area where you had Megadeth, Anthrax, and bands like that. So, and they've kind of, if you just keep going at it, I think everyone will follow you, and because they've been around for so long. Then they're just put on a pedestal above everybody else, whereas Megadeth just went. Do you know what I mean? Anthrax are back, but it's just interesting to see this kind of the journeys of bands and stuff like that. I mean, especially for young bands, because you're talking about just doing the talent, but I mean, you're working with young bands now as well. You kind of almost. I mean, do you manage bands? Do you more of a chaperone or an advisor, or what's your role with young bands?
I guess kind of one of the ways to look at it is being like a consultant, right, but it is kind of with a select couple or a few. It is growing into more of a hands-on managerial thing. It's super early days, But over like the past, say, couple of years, I was doing like consultations with young bands, basically just explaining the workings of the music industry.
Yeah.
Everything from I was basically looking at where are bands at in their career and going, these are some things to focus on to get you to whatever the next stage is. You know, I couldn't have a conversation with a band who were really, really young and not really ready to go on a wider industry level about getting PR and working with a radio plugger and creating a release campaign. Those conversations I've saved for bands who are much further along the line, and then I write campaigns for them. I basically rehash their social media so everything kind of like looks professional. I kind of liaise with them to make sure that they work with people who can shoot the music video for them that is going to surpass a threshold. Like loads of stuff. So with a select few, it's kind of moving into more managerial. My title is artist development.
That sounds right though. Yeah,
exactly. So like I work with a lot of bands on the local scene, basically helping them put things in place so that they can like perform to I don't mean like perform live, but just as a whole their brand can perform within the wider music industry.
Yeah, you're comfortable to put them anywhere.
Exactly.
And they can handle whatever you give them to do.
So like I said, it depends where they are in their career. If I'm working with like a really young band who are, they don't even have to be young. They might be older, but it might be they've only been a band for a couple of years and they're just giving it a try. Then what we'll look at is maybe branding their socials, looking at maybe putting together a string of releases, looking at independently doing their own PR, trying to reach out to promoters, trying to like just to kind of strengthen their name and their brand.
Is that the hardest thing to do? Unless it's just a natural progression of, these guys are just hitting because they're hot at the minute because everyone just loves them. Yeah, which I'm guessing is quite a rarity.
Yeah, I guess it is. You know, like when you work with a band who are really, really good, then it can be easier to kind of. So what you sometimes find is like they sometimes are already doing a lot of the things that you're about to do. You just need to kind of
channel it a bit more.
And just kind of like refine it. And a lot of bands kind of like get a bit confused about like, we've got this batch of songs, they sound really good. Like, what do we do with them? Yeah. And I'll kind of just help creating the release campaign in the strategy and kind of go like, well, what we could do is this. What we could do is this. We could talk to this person and we could put this like string of dates together, which will then lead on to this. Yeah. Start at this venue, then in a year's time move to that venue, then move to that venue. Lots of kind of like intricate industry tactics, sort of.
So obviously that's your experience that's come to fruition now. Is what you've done in the past, and that's where you would give yourself advice 15 years ago, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. It was basically like when I was in the old band, we basically decided to start this new band, and I just went on this like kind of learning curve of just trying to figure out exactly loads of stuff about the music industry. And obviously I need to work, so I used to work in bars and restaurants and stuff out while doing the band, and then I managed to just land this job. So I'm basically just music all day, every day.
That's good.
Which is kind of exactly what you want, really. Yeah. I do kind of have aspirations of being like just a songwriter who makes songs and performs. But you've got to do what you got to do, and I'm really happy that I get to do stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's still in the industry as well. Plus,
I'm in the industry. Like,
and you're kind of doing this, and you're helping people out as well as doing your own thing. And,
yeah, exactly. And it's all learning as well.
Yeah.
I can implement that stuff for my own projects as well as implementing stuff that I maybe have done with one artist and implement that stuff to an artist who's maybe not as big or whatever. There's loads. It all just kind of feeds into each other at the minute, which is really which is quite nice, and quite rare, I imagine. Like, not a lot of people who play in bands also kind of do what I do. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of led to some like really like cool little experiences. But yeah, I'm working closely with a couple of bands at the minute. Time will tell where that goes. but it's all looking really exciting, which is kind of.
I mean, any ones you want to mention as well? Just kind of check them out, people, and give them the titles, the hashtag, the ads, the tags, and all that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Whatever you want.
Really closely, I'm working with a band called Fever, which is spelled F-E-V-A.
Right.
And I'm also working with a band called Picnic.
Right.
And then there's a bunch below that who like we're possibly going to start working together.
Yeah.
I don't want to take on too much, but it's looking really good for a band called Fever at the minute. Like we basically prior to me getting involved, they'd sorted out a string of dates across the UK, which has kind of put me in a good position because I can use that as collateral going to people.
Yeah, they've already doing something.
Exactly.
It's already a talking point. Yeah.
Exactly. So with them, it's been quite cool because they're really engaged. They're all good at what they do. So basically, we can refine it and just be like, this is what we're going to do for the next year.
Yeah.
Because they've got songs ready. They've gone through the process which I did as a musician, which was surpass a threshold, and their new stuff just sounds great. I
mean, do they understand the game? Do they know it's a kind of it might not be an overnight success, because sometimes these it might take 5 years to be an overnight success. You know?
I think they're in the middle of that process. They've been doing it for ages. So I think they're similar to me in terms of that's just what they do. As people, so like why would they stop doing it? So all they can do is keep doing what they do, keep writing tunes, and what will happen with the kind of connections that we have at the minute that we can, like strings we can pull.
So how does something hit now? Because is it still radio, or could be anything? Could be YouTube?
I think there's lots of different ways for something to happen, but there is something to be said for radio. There's still something to be said for radio. I think what it is it's a huge accolade.
I suppose if you're on radio, then you can go to the next radio. There's a lot of radio stations as well, and then overseas, Europe, and then there's the States as well, and then it can kind of go from there. But I think you have to be on radio for anybody else in radio to be playing you. Yeah,
well, obviously, like there's loads of different like tastemakers. Like a radio is a tastemaker, someone that decides what they think is good, and then they tell their audience. So basically, you've got radio, you've got publications. So whether it's written press like a music magazine, or whether it's online blogs, publications like that, and then you've got social media. You've there's bands who aren't radio friendly who have huge social media followings, and then it works that way. It's all about doing what's right for you. If you are radio friendly, whether you're Radio 6, or whether you're Radio 1, or whether you're Radio X, or whether you're Kiss FM, whatever you are, if you work in that realm, then the goal should be to achieve that. How you achieve that is built over time. It's built over presence. It's working with radio pluggers and PR agencies who have the relationships with the producers of these shows.
It's a lot. I'm guessing there's a lot of kind of influence inside this kind of clique, because you've got to know the people to get your stuff on the radio.
Exactly,
It just takes somebody to know somebody to hand it to them.
I think one way to look at it from like an artist who has no experience in that stuff is look at everything as if the person on the other end, what's in it for them. Everyone who works in the industry at every single role is in the business of selling something that is going to have a return on investment. So if your song isn't radio ready, whether it's a bad production, whether it's not mixed right, whether the song is just not written well enough, whether it's not performed well enough, whatever it is, if your dream is to be on Radio 1 and your stuff isn't ready, when you go to the person who has the connections to make that happen, it's not going to work. It's just not. Like they have enough to do in their day than work on something that's not going to work. So kind of a good way to look at it is be like, don't seek external people to get involved until you can kind of do it yourself. Or your songs, or have you figured out yourself that to get your songs radio ready, or to get your songs sounding compelling enough so that when someone hits daily mix on Spotify and your song just randomly pops up, is it going to catch someone's ear? Because if it didn't sound good, then unfortunately people are entitled to press the next button.
Yeah.
That's what we live in. People don't know you personally, so people are allowed, no matter how much work you've put in, to press the skip button. That is allowed to happen. And then in a result of that is Spotify go, everyone's pressing the next button. Maybe we've made a mistake putting this in people's daily mix. We'll take it out. So therefore there's a lot of different things that need to be in place, but one thing that point A should be just get your stuff working by yourself, and then be able to go at it with conviction. So you can do your stuff, you know you're good at what you do, you've figured out that going to this studio gets you the right results, you've figured out that working with this photographer makes you present yourself in a good way, working with when the singer writes the song and the other person writes the lead guitar licks, that's what works best for you. Figure all that stuff out yourself first, and then when you know deep down that you've gone through the journey of, at point B you thought you were ready, but at point G you realised at point B you weren't ready. When you're at point G, then you go, all right, I think we've got a chance now. Now we should reach out to this person. But the thing is when you're at point G, you've probably met some people. It's just how it works. People like to work with people who are good at all levels. So whether you're looking for gigs in your local city and, your first couple of gigs are with someone who's not a promoter, but they just fancy putting on a gig in a pub, then that's just realistic. That's where you are at that point. But if you play well, something will happen. If you set up your social media in a certain way and you do a bit of promotion and you actually educate yourself to put yourself out there, a promoter who is a proper promoter, it's their job to be a promoter, is going to find you. They're going to put you on a gig. How that goes is going to determine whether they continue working with you or whether they kind of put you on the back burner or whether they blacklist you. You know what I mean? If you literally bring no one, don't bring your equipment, eat all the other bands' rider who they're touring Europe, so they rely on having some sandwich filler and a couple of bits of bread backstage. If you go backstage, even though you live 10 minutes down the road and you could have went and made yourself a ready meal, or your mum could have made you a packed lunch, if you go into the dressing room and start scranning the bands who are getting paid 150 quid to tour Europe every night, they're getting paid 150 quid every night, that's not a lot of money by the time you rent a van, by the time you rent. They're relying on their bread and sandwich filler in their bottles of water and their few beers backstage. If you go backstage and you start eating their thing and you don't have your drumsticks and you go up to the promoter and be like, I've not got any drumsticks, then unfortunately it's natural selection at that stage, isn't it? Like you can't really expect to like a hand out of that stage. It just I don't want to scare people off being like, you've got to be the best. But you definitely have to surpass a certain threshold. I feel like I've said that a few times in this, but it just seems like a good way of putting it.
And where are you guys at the minute? Where's Bare Roots? What's happening with you guys?
So like I said, we're a brand new band. This is a brand new band, like since launching. Although we have played together for a long time, we launched, and what we wanted to do was just put out some songs to basically just say we are this band. From that, we wanted to basically build some relationships with local people. We want to stay local for the time being. So whether it's local BBC introducing local publications like Knock and Crack Magazine, all these sort of local blogs, local bands, we wanted to be like, oh, we're a band, if you fancy playing a gig together, like let us know, we'll get involved. Local promoters. So from that, it's been quite quick because we managed to sign a publishing deal with a company called Wipeout Music off the back of releasing 2 tunes. So that was quite quick. They're quite a reputable local music publisher. So they basically work with like Sleaford Mods, Pigs Times 7, who are like a big kind of biggish local band. And they managed to land like sync deals on like BT Sport and TV adverts and all these sort of things. So they're working really closely with us, trying to get us to the next stage in our career. But at the minute, we've got 4 songs out on Spotify. They're just ticking over. We wanted to just lay a foundation and just build some relationships. And we're currently in the studio, kind of getting close to wrapping up what's going to be next year's music. So in our free time, we go to Martin's house. He's built his studio. And we're currently like tracking vocals and tracking extra parts. We have like a way of working now where like we put the bare bones of the song down. We have that coming out the speaker sounding what we see is ready to go. And then we just kind of like go into this creative little hub of being like, what can we put on this to really spice it up? Do we want like a saxophone here? Do we want like a cello here? Do we want like a vocal harmony here? Do we want like one of the new songs got like bongo parts in it? So we just do things that's kind of, we have the song coming out the speakers and then we go, what can we do to kind of like give this an extra like, an extra edge and make it a little bit more like intriguing for people. So we're currently at the end of the vocal stage, and then we're going to look at the extras, which is like, we've got through the slog of like writing it, recording it, picking the amps and picking the drum room and picking the performances, and then we go, let's have a little bit of fun and like let's do some creative stuff that is going to take the song to the next level. So that we're currently working on the songs for next year at the minute, but we're expecting early next year to just come straight out of the blocks and just keep the ball rolling. And then by the time next summer comes around, hopefully we'll like be in a position where we can play like a bunch of the local festivals, and then we'll make a decision on what, and then we'll be heading into Christmas next year. So we can make a decision on what the future holds at that point. We might have like an abundance of new material, and then we can maybe look at like an EP or something. But at the minute, we've only been a band since February. Like that is really new. That's really fresh. There's bands who still only have a few songs on Spotify, but have been together for years and years and years. And obviously it's because we've been a band for a while, so we came out the blocks knowing what we were going to do and having like a strong idea of how to like build a presence quickly, and we had enough songs in the barrel to kind of go at it. But yeah, we're just the plan was to keep the ball rolling constantly, and this year we've done it, and we're going to take a break over Christmas because it's Christmas music time. And then straight into the new year, when maybe after January we're just going to start rolling out tunes again, and trying to package them in a way that's entertaining for people. We don't just want to be this little square on Spotify with the song name next to it. We want to make interesting things around the songs. We want to.
So how do you mean?
Like content wise. So like we want
a
visual to accompany the song. That's it might not change the world, but it'll be unique for us. It'll be like, oh, that's a Bare Roots visual that goes with the song.
Okay,
that's fun. I got something from that, or it's sad, or it's just whatever avenue we decide to go down with the content. We just want it to be compelling. I mean, making that happen is one thing, but that's the vision that we have at the minute. But I'm just really, really excited to put new songs out.
Well, it sounds like the fire's still burning, and it's still kind of burning quite bright in you. You know what I mean? It's still, everyone's passionate about it.
You get tired of quicker. You get tired of quicker. Like me and Martin, we used to sit up till like 7 a.m. in the morning making tunes. Nowadays it's like, can we just start at 11 and finish at like 11, please? Because we've got stuff to do. But that's healthier. So it works.
Well, it's better time management, I think. If you know what I mean, it kind of, but that comes with age as well, doesn't it? So is that how the more mature that you are, like you say, in the maturity kind of might come with that. I can't be bothered to do this anymore. We can actually do more in this certain time.
Exactly, let's try to. It's actually cramming in more stuff as well.
You're just doing more, but in less time.
Exactly. So like, it's workflow. Like I'm sure you've got a workflow of your photography and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Like I bet you when you first started, if you were to look at the way you were doing stuff now, you'd be screaming for
You would do, yeah.
You'd be
Because
like-
you procrastinate for too long. You'd be
Yeah.
sitting there going, well, why are you working till? Why are you sitting there till 10 o'clock just looking at things? What's the point in that, you know? And
Yeah,
you've got this window, fit it in, do it now.
You've got
go.
to workflow is so
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
and like I'm a sucker for a good Excel spreadsheet these days. And like everything is, I said Excel, it's actually Google Sheets. I should be
that's
true to the
acceptable,
company
isn't
that
it?
I
Yeah.
actually
Okay,
use.
yeah.
So when we do like the marketing and we do like the
Mhm.
planning, like, oh man, I'm like all over Google Sheets. I get in from work and I'm sitting there and I'm on Google Sheets. I'm making a plan. I'm like, this is color coded, this is
Yeah.
that. Send it to the band, they don't care. But anyways, it was for me and I liked it.
I think you need that level of organisation, though, because you can only look through things and go, right, because this kind of whittles out all the chuff. It's kind of all the distraction as well. It's sort of,
Yeah.
you're looking at things, right, we need to do this, 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 and this. And then you don't have to be thinking, oh, what we're doing tomorrow? Oh, did I say this to him? Did I say that to him? Just look at your thing and then you're off and running, you know? So
Totally.
it
Like-
saves a lot of time, doesn't it? So, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like it's I'm a bit of a sucker for being organised these days.
Yeah.
I never used to be. I never
Yeah.
used to be like that. But it's just as you get older and you
Yeah.
kind of just think. I mean, we keep talking about age. Neither of us are that old.
No.
Like,
I'll just pull back and think about that one. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like we're not that old, man. We just need to calm down. Let's not worry
Well,
too much about
you don't think about it inside your head, you know.
Uh,
You don't think about, you know, it's what other people project on you, but everyone's going, well, what's the number? It depends on what you're doing. Depends on if you're running around, if you're kind of spinning plates, if you're doing more things than you used to. Because you're probably better at time management now and probably more productive now than you've ever been in your life.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's a better person in my eyes. It's just a better human being, and
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
then you can kind of make this ship, you know,
Mhm.
run a bit better as well, a bit smoother. So I mean, you know, just to wrap things up, can we just tell like where everybody can see your stuff or hear your stuff as
Yeah,
well?
yeah,
So
yeah.
because I know you got videos out, you've
Mhm.
got. The songs are out now as well.
Aye.
So your Instagram handle or your Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, so like obviously we're on all socials. Instagram is Bare Roots Band. Twitter is Bare Roots UK. Facebook is Bare Roots Band. One of them is UK and one of them's band. And I always
Did
forget.
somebody take it from you? Did it?
Yeah,
Somebody
exactly.
Take the
So
band
like,
thing.
yeah. So one of them,
Yeah.
on
That's always
one of
an
the
issue, isn't
socials
it?
wasn't
Yeah.
right. But anyways,
Yeah.
if you search Bare Roots, we'll come up.
Yeah, we'll come up.
Spotify's Bare Roots. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to jump on Spotify and follow us on Spotify, like that goes a long way.
Yeah.
People value Spotify a lot in the industry at the minute. So just having a bunch of followers, keeping up to date, like at the end of the day, like that's first protocol for a lot of music fans these days. Sitting on a bus, open Spotify,
Yeah.
press play,
Yeah.
see what comes up. So I think that's probably where you'll be able to find the thing that we work hardest on, which
Yeah.
is the tunes.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool. But yeah, all social media. Obviously we're local based, so we should be playing shows every now and then. We try not to do too many because obviously we want to make it like a fun night for everybody when people do decide to come down. Whether that's, you know, the venue that we play, or whether that's like we know that it's supporting a band who might have a big crowd down, or whether it's supporting a band who, or whether we'll do our own headline show and we'll make a big thing of it and we'll get like a few other like really good bands on the bill. But yeah, we're just doing a lot of stuff.
Cool.
So it is what it is. We're just on that. We're just doing it. Like that's the best way to like think of it. Like you just gotta just keep doing it, haven't you?
Nice one.